I wanted to get your perspective on something apart from all the overall sort of tectonic plates of Russia, Ukraine and all the rest of it. I couldn't help but think of you when I saw Vladimir Zelensky addressing the European Parliament. The European Parliament now stands up and gives him a standing ovation while they're all wearing the Ukrainian colours. The only reason he was talking to them was because he wanted membership. They literally gave him a standing ovation and then said, application denied. What did you think as a bloke who has sat in that parliament?
Well, the odd thing is that the European Parliament, they all stood and applauded. Funny, isn't it? Many people in Brussels admire him because he wants to stand up for his nation state, he wants to stand up for independence, he wants to stand up for democracy, and there the MPs are clapping. When I stood up there a few years ago and said I wanted the United Kingdom to be independent, self-governing and free, and that was inconsistent with EU membership, they all booed and shouted and wanted me kicked out of the place. So there's a lot of double standards going on here. Look, the truth of it is that for Ukraine to join the European Union would be a very lengthy process. They'd have to get their laws to a level of compliance with EU laws before they'd be allowed. So it isn't going to happen in a hurry, but all of it, frankly, just shows you that the NATO and the EU, who for years have tried this expansionist policy, have made a terrible mess of things. So, Ukraine, give them a clap, but you can't quite join the club yet. And of course, because of their GDP per capita, if they did join, that would cost German, Dutch and French taxpayers a lot of money.
So how have you felt about the past couple of weeks? Because it feels to me like it's all maximum empathy, but we're just watching a country being squeezed like a pimple here. And because we don't want to either deal with the consequences that are too grave to go to World War III, but the truth is that, the shooting of a prince here ends up in the First World War. We all know small things can lead to big things. What do you think about what you've been watching, apart from all the horror and all the rest of it? Just that some people are expendable and some people aren't.
I think what I'm watching is a Russian president who has been in an ivory tower for 22 years, disconnected from the rest of the world, surrounded by generals and advisors who are terrified of him and perhaps don't tell him the truth, tell him what they think he wants to hear, and a president who up until now had shown all the signs of being intelligent, rational, certainly manipulative and dangerous, but rational. And to have invaded a country like Ukraine, where the vast majority of the population have got horrendous memories of the Soviet Union, of rule from Moscow, he has made just the hugest calculation. And when it starts to look difficult for him, he dares to talk about nuclear weapons. And I have to say, the reason NATO haven't got involved, the reason we haven't sent air support to take out that 40-mile column of vehicles heading into Kiev is because we are actually now scared we might actually be facing up to somebody who could potentially push the button. So actually, this is even graver, I think, than the Cuban Missile Crisis was 60 years ago. At some point, we have to draw a very clear red line. And the problem is that needs to come from America. It needs to come from Joe Biden, who, in his State of the Union speech, even confused Iran with the Ukraine.
It was embarrassing.
So we're at a very, very poor state of affairs when the American leadership in NATO, which has been so vital ever since the 40s, is missing. But at some point, we do have to say to Putin, so far and no further, or else. Final little thought on it, if I may. If Donald Trump was in the White House, none of this would have happened. What Putin has seen is the withdrawal from Afghanistan, weakness, the Germans making themselves dependent on Russian gas. He's seen these opportunities and seized them.